invite Dr. Harshvardhan to please give his words of wisdom.
Respected Dr. G.P. Sethi, respected Dr. J.S. Guleria, President of Age Care India, Dr. D.R. Karthikeyan, my professional dear colleagues sitting on the dais, Dr. Sandeep Guleria and Dr. Ashok Seth, other dignitaries on the dais, Mr. Goyal, Mr. Dhingra, Mr. Anand, Mrs. Sopti, and my dear friend, the President of Delhi Medical Association, the President, a position that I also had the privilege to enjoy some 28 years back. Dr. Bobby Grewal, other members of the organizing committee and office bearers of Age Care India. Many respected dignitaries are there in this august audience. I wish I had the privilege and time to name many of them. Many of them I know personally also. Dignitaries from Akshay Patra Foundation also. Friends from the media. So it's a very, very privileged moment for me to be part of this very, very graceful function in which two stalwarts of my own profession have been bestowed with the greatest honor today. And it was very pleasing experience for the ears to hear both of them, Dr. G.P. Seth and Dr. J.S. Guleria. I fondly remember that 2014 when Dr. Guleria, you were conferred with the Lifetime Achievement Award in AIIMS. I was also part of that function as Union Health Minister along with the Prime Minister in that function in the AIIMS convocation. And you may not be able to recall, but I recall that when I was the President of the IMA's Delhi branch in 1988, we had organized a huge symposium on medical emergencies in East Delhi. And you were one of those stalwarts from All India Institute whom I had invited, and you had delivered a lot of good things for the medical profession at that time. I never had the privilege to directly remain in touch with Dr. G.P. Seth Sahab, but had heard about him. And we are thankful to you because you have given to our profession two illustrious sons who are also a dear friend of mine, and they have been serving the profession tirelessly, selflessly for a number of years now. And I would like to congratulate Dr. Karthikeyan for one thing, that this year you have honored two stalwarts of our own profession. And nothing else could have been more befitting than this vision of yours. I have known you for many years as a very dynamic, silent, sincere, selfless, honest, committed visionary who has served in many most prestigious positions of the country. We all know about them. But always grounded, always committed, always sincere, and always working very selflessly. And for a person of your stature to be still associated with selfless service for the care of the elderly through the Aged Care India, that itself speaks volumes about your sincerity and your commitment to the society. The very day you came and invited me for this function, I was already impressed with what you had been doing over the years and the decades, but I was very touched by your gesture because you were feeling restless because in COVID you could not celebrate this 40th anniversary in 2020 because of the COVID time. And hats off to you that in spite of the difficult situation that we have all landed ourselves into post January 2020, not only in India but of course all over the world, you had the courage to organize this function. Of course, you have managed to ensure that we are diligently following the COVID appropriate behavior also in this function. The very fact that we could fight COVID better than most of the countries of the whole world, it is because of the selfless contribution of our COVID warriors, our doctors, our nurses, our healthcare workers, our frontline workers. And I always say that more than these, I was also touched when Dr. Seth referred to his own mother. We know that God is omnipresent, and to prove that He is omnipresent, He created mothers so that they are there everywhere. And every good thing that we have been able to deliver or do in our lives, I think for most of us it is our own experience that all the good things and all the good sanskars, everything has been given to us by our parents, and more particularly by our mothers. And during these COVID times, my respect for the mothers of this country has grown manifold times. And it is because of the reason that although our COVID warriors, our doctors, they were knowing the complications, they knew what could happen to them. In spite of that, they continued to work. They were working day and night. They suffered a lot of stigma also during the initial stages. A lot of our doctors and health workers, they were even beaten. They were not even allowed to enter their own societies or their own flats. They were abused, they were insulted, and they were even chased away. And this is a fact. And that was the time when we had to invoke make amendment in the Indian Epidemics Act to make all these unholy and uncharitable insulting activities by the members of the society huge punishable offense. But the greatest thing that has happened is that in spite of the fact that many of our doctors, they lost their lives, we lost many of our nurses, we lost many of those frontline workers who are working in hospitals, still, on one hand, I do not know of one single example of a healthcare worker in this country who said, I will not go and work. That's number one. I know that, and Professor Guleria will knows what Dr. J.N. Pandey, another great stalwart of the All India Institute, another head of the Department of Medicine. People told him, why do you go and see patients? You are 79 years old. You should stop doing it now. We see here 93-year-old Professor J.S. Guleria still seeing patients. And the country lost Dr. J.M. Pandey because he contracted COVID. But he didn't listen to anybody. And then, in spite of the fact that every mother and every family member of the COVID warriors knew that my children, when they are going out to work, they are subjected to at most this. Every day in every colony, every hospital, every neighborhood. I think if we ask any one of you, you will be able to name many who were your close friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors of all sections of the society who, not only the COVID warriors who lost their lives, but I cannot cite one example of one single mother in this country who dissuaded or stopped his son or daughter not to go to the hospital and serve the COVID patient just because there was huge amount of risk involved. So that's the beauty and the blessing of being the son or a daughter of a mother. And that we have seen during, so I always pay my most humble tributes not only to the COVID warriors, but more than the COVID warriors, to their mothers and to their brothers and sisters and to their relatives, because of whose contribution we could today reach to this climax. This whole journey of 1 year has been a terrible experience. It's more than 1 year now, sir. I remember 6th of January, when this news first came through the WHO, that on 31st of December, in China, some cases of pneumonia have been reported, attributed to a new coronavirus, and they informed through WHO the whole world. And within less than 24 to 48 hours, we had organized our first meeting of experts in the Health Ministry at Nirman Bhavan on 8th of January. And within less than 10 days from that, when there was not even a vague sign of India having a case of COVID, we had issued detailed advisories to every state in this country, to every union territory in this country. We had started the point of entry surveillance at the airports, at the seaports, and we had started the community surveillance. During the whole exercise, at any point of time, almost 1 million people were under active surveillance in this country with the help of our doctors, our surveillance teams, our rapid response teams. Our first case came only on 30th of January. And even for that first case, who was a medical student, the type of contract tracing that was done in this country with the help of the health workers and the society's support, we had traced 162 contacts. That was the precedent that was established to actually work out a strategy for handling COVID. And the very next day, the Prime Minister had set up a group of ministers under my leadership. We organized almost 25 meetings of that group in the last 1 year, reviewed things regularly and then modified. And we remember the type of difficulties that we encountered. Today we are doing 1 to 2 million tests a day. And when we were doing 6,000 tests a day, everybody on the television channel used to make sarcastic comments, test, test, test. Where are the tests? What's India doing? It's a country of 1.35 billion, you are doing a few thousand tests. We had just about one lab in the country. There was complete lockdown. There was no mechanism to, even if you decide to create a new lab, there was no mechanism how to actually send them all the material, all the equipment, all the systems where they could actually create a new lab. And from that one lab, today when I talk to you, we have 2,441 labs. And in the initial stages, we were all hearing every day news about the medical professionals suffering because of the shortage of N95 masks, shortage of PPE kits, shortage of ventilators in hospitals, shortage of beds. Within no time, we created dedicated facilities in the whole country with 20 lakh extra beds dedicated to COVID. And from a country which was deficient in PPE kits and in N95 masks and ventilators, we were creating all of them in the country and we started exporting them. Can you believe it? We exported hydroxychloroquine to 150 countries of the whole world at the peak of the pandemic. And then we have seen the journey of the vaccine development, all thanks to our COVID warriors and the scientists. As a Science and Technology Minister, I always pay my respectful tributes to the scientists of this country who rose to the occasion. And in spite of whatever mandate was given to them or for which they were working, they forgot all that mandate. And they decided that what is the utmost or the foremost thing to be done now. Today, when we have given 7.5 crore doses to our own people, we have already sent 6.5 crore doses to 84 countries of the whole world. And these countries include countries like UK also, they include countries of the South and the North Americas also, they include countries supported through the WHO also. That's the level of commitment that the government under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi had shown. And care of the elderly was our biggest challenge. Because the data all over the world showed that the people who are most at risk were the elderly people. And more particularly the elderly people with comorbidities. And all the strategies that were designed right from that day till now, you know, the priority groups that have been set up by the NAGVAC, that's the National Expert Group for Vaccine Administration, which was established. What you see today in vaccination campaign, what you see the seamless activity on the CoWIN platform, this was not created in one day. Even when there was no signs of the vaccine actually emerging on the scene, we created this NAGVAC group in the first week of August, and days in and days out, everybody was working on the strategy, what would be the strategy in case vaccine develops after 6 months. And you have seen the seamless performance on the platform. You have seen the priority groups. We knew that these health workers, they are going to be the people who will be most at risk. We knew that the frontline workers are the ones who are most at risk. We knew that those above 60, our senior citizens are most at risk. They were all prioritized. And right now we know that we are having this. When Dr. Karthikeyan met me, we were not having this present situation. We were slightly relaxed. But after his invitation and the organization of this function, because of the, I call it the casual and the careless attitude of the society, because people think vaccine has come, the fatality rate is just 1.34%, the recovery rate is in the 90s, and now you can relax. Now there is no need for wearing the mask properly. Now people are either keeping it in their pocket or keeping it on their necks or leaving it at home, and no norms or anything is being followed. We see the surge also because people probably have this tendency to ignore the COVID appropriate behavior. I think organizations like this, sir, Age Care India, at this stage the need of the hour is to ensure that, I'm sure that Dr. Guleria and others on the stage, they will all endorse that even if for a month, if we all agree to follow the COVID appropriate behavior sincerely and also ensure that those who have been put in the category of priority groups, they actually come forward, they proactively, and those in the society help them to be proactively taking the vaccine. We can get rid of the COVID as fast as possible. It's only because we are not helping COVID virus to actually vanish. We are not having COVID now because of the COVID virus, we are having it because we don't want it to go. And that's a fact. So I would suggest that organizations like this, Age Care, you see, we have a very, very ambitious program in the government under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There is a very positive, aggressive, active program to help the elderly. National Institutes for the Care of Elderly, 2 national institutes. One is in fact coming up in All India Institute of Medical Sciences itself. Very soon you will see the institute being dedicated to the country. Another one is coming up in the deep south in Chennai, in the Madras Medical College. And there hundreds and thousands of doctors are going to be trained for the care of elderly. Already 19 regional institutions have already been created in various places dedicated to the care of the elderly. Under the Ayushman Bharat, we are in the process of creating 150,000 health and wellness centers all over the country, out of which almost 70,000 have been created. And these are the places where successful models of health developing into a social movement with at least a dozen issues, and majority of them, a lot of them, related to the care of the elderly being taken up. Crores of elderly people, they have been screened for diseases like hypertension, diabetes, cancers of the oral cavity, cancers for the females, the cancers of the breast, the cancers of cervix. So many things are actually happening in this particular country under Prime Minister Modi. Is a massive program to strengthen prevention and of course to strengthen positive and promotive health in this country, and focused a lot on the care of the elderly. It is not the place to actually elaborate upon all of them, but I would like institutions like Age Care India to actively associate with these programs, know about these programs, because we know that if there is any country in this world which has the potential to be able to develop a successful model of health for all, which WHO has been aiming to develop in the whole world, right from the 70s. They gave the health for all by 2000, that was a slogan given 50 years back. But India has the potential, India has the DNA, India has the experience. And we in this country say Jivet Sharat Khatam. And we only have that ability that with lifestyle changes, with the sanskar of service that Dr. Seth was saying, service to poor is, I think, service to God. And when he said that if you decide to move 2 steps, then the God helps you in moving 10 steps. I was reminded of my own experience, which I'll share in 2-3-4 minutes. I joined public life on 3rd of December 1993, when I was sworn in as a minister in Delhi. And 17 days after that, I was invited to a function in Maulana Azad Medical College. That's the old boys function of Maulana Azad Medical College. Dr. Deva knows, he's a Maulanian, if I'm not wrong. And while I was delivering the speech, somebody sent a small paper to me. Sir, we want to see you after the function. These were a group of small 2-3-4 doctors in the audience. I wrote yes and I sent back the slip. I went down. They caught hold of me. I said, well, what's the matter? They said, we will not talk in front of all these people. We want you to come with us to the other corner of the ground. They took me to that corner of the ground. That was 20th of December 1993. And then they asked me 3 questions. They said, you are a doctor? Yes. You have become the health minister of Delhi? Yes. Are you aware that India is home to 60% of the polio cases of the whole world? They were pediatricians, in fact. I said, I am not aware about the data. I am aware that there is a polio is a significant disease which is affecting children and all. Then they said, are you aware that 10% of them belong to Delhi? I said, I am not really aware about it. Then they said, are you aware that the place from where you got elected in East Delhi, that Trans-Yamuna area of Delhi is home to the maximum number of polio cases of the whole world? I said, sorry, I am not aware of this fact that that place has maximum in the whole world. Then they said, are you aware that with a strategy with which you, if you immunize all the children at the same time on the same day, then you can work towards eradication of polio, because then you can replace the wild polio virus in the intestine of the child with a vaccine virus? I said, I am not aware of this strategy. Then they said, we are running from pillar to post, knocking at everybody's door. From 1988, when the World Health Assembly had resolved to eradicate polio by 2000, and nobody is listening to us in this country. Everybody mocks at us. Can you take up this? Can you do something to help us? They had no vested interest. They were doctors like you. They were not asking me for any favor. They were not asking me to give them any job or anything. They said, this is something which we feel could be possible. I went back home. I kept thinking the whole night about these polio-affected children, 60% of them, belonging to India and the whole world. And I don't know, God was so kind that on the night between 20th of December and 21st of December 1993, with the blessing of God, a dream was born to work for a polio free India. And the only thing that I did next day was on 21st December, I wrote a letter to the World Health Organization, please send me everything that you have about polio. They sent me this much of papers, of experiences of Brazil, of Cuba, of Philippines, of Iran, of so many other countries. It took me 10 days to work, to really read all that. And after reading all that, I was so convinced, if they can do it, if they can do it, if they can do it, why can't we do it? We may be a big country, but we have a very powerful DNA. We have a DNA which has been given to us by Swami Vivekananda. They only live who live for others, the rest are more dead than alive. This is what Swami Vivekananda had said. And you will not believe, we started, sir, with a core group of only 4 people. It had 2 pediatricians. It had a childhood friend who was a management expert. It had a health secretary, who unfortunately at that time during the course of that conversation said, नए मंत्री बने, नया जोश है, थोड़े दिन में ठीक हो जाएगा. And this is how the journey started. It's a long journey. Till 2014, when I became the Union Health Minister and had the privilege to receive the certification from WHO of a polio-free India. It's not that I had the privilege to dream about it and work about it, but the whole country, everybody stood by us. So when he said he got the blessing of mother, I got the blessing of my mother and father both. And I got the blessing of everyone in the society. So when he said, if you walk 2 steps, God helps you to walk 10 steps. So I think this is a very, very pious function. We have so many elders here. They have huge experience, they have huge track record of serving society, delivering values to the children, to the people. So many records, so many things to emulate, examples. I think we could use occasions like this to spread goodness in the society, to spread this message of selfless service. And of course to the younger generation also, there is a significant amount of people in the younger generation who do not give the type of respect and the type of care that they should have been providing to their parents. Because as a person in public life for 27, 28 years now, when I see at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, old people, they knock at our doors. They stand in queues. And what is that they want? They want the MLA or the MP to sign their pension form, because if you sign that pension form or help them, in 93 when I joined public life, the government of Delhi used to give them 200 rupees. And for that 200 rupees, our old people, our parents, they would knock at the doors of the MLAs. Today it may have become 1,000 or 2,000, but what is 1,000 and what is 2,000? These are the people who have been ignored by their children. I think there is a need for a big, high quality, more than treating. Treatment is only when you fall sick. But if you actually have good lifestyle and everything, you don't even fall sick. And we can learn all that from Dr. Karthikeyan also, from people like Dr. Gulabia and Dr. Talwar. So this is an occasion where we would love to resolve, work with you, and see that the great values of the Indian society, if somehow we find that they have started degenerating, we try to replenish them with fresh energy, fresh sincerity, fresh commitment, and